What are the 3 most surprising things the parenting coaches do not want you to find out? Many of them yell at their kids too, and they feel actually even more guilty and ashamed afterwards because they feel like they should have it together in order to help others, and they don't. Why not? Because number 2 is, it's not about knowing what to say. The parenting scripts don't work. If they did, you could just ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT would become by now the parent of the world, would get the award. It's not about the scripts too, and you know that too. 3, it's not the kids' fault that they don't always listen. That actually they don't listen when you need it the most. Wait, what? It's not the kids' fault, but you don't understand. Wait. Before you shoot the messenger, you should know I used to yell at my daughter too. So there's zero judgment here. But that's the point, number 3, that this Zen Supermom podcast episode is about, because it deserves a little more detangling so that we talk about what is actually going on. Why is it that kids don't want to listen in some situations, and how is it that you can help them without years in parenting courses or reading piles of parenting books? Yes. And if you would rather than listening and watching me talk, if you would rather take this information through a structured training with visual help and with points you can note and steps you can note down, then I would invite you to join me for one of my live Mommy Tantrum masterclasses. I'm doing them live right now once or twice a week. So you will get the link, just sign up there and you will get the entire explanation step by step. If you want to get more proof on what is this lady talking about, how can you help your kids listen more without bribing, threatening, yelling, traumatizing them, then let's talk. Hi, my name is Alena and I'm a mommy tantrum specialist because I used to be specialist at yelling at my daughter and having mommy tantrums. Luckily for my daughter, and also for thousands by now of women and men me and my team have helped so far, I did figure it out. And that's also why I know, as I told you at the beginning, how many parenting coaches are actually secretly losing it at home with their kids too. Parenting coaches, teachers, mental health nurses, counselors, clinical psychiatrists, and they feel so ashamed. So if you're one of them, zero judgment. I used to yell too, but let's figure that out, right? Because if you're here, it tells me that you are super loving mom. You have so much love. You're spending so much time and energy on raising your kids, and your intentions are only the best, right? You want them to be kind, respectful, nice human beings. Probably, hopefully, also without squishing their spirit. You don't want them to become little obedient unicorn robots, just doing everything you want, always you want, and them never having any emotions. You want them to have some self-confidence, right, as well. But where is the right balance? Yeah. And it's very difficult to catch that balance if you didn't grow up having super parents who were always perfect, if they messed up, because all of our parents did. And that's why we are not here to blame our parents either, right? But we need to realize that the more of your own childhood baggage you have unsorted, it's going to show on your kids as well, right? And you might have already figured that out. So let's talk about it. The first step we need to take is to be more specific. It's okay, I want my kids to listen. Right, I hear you. So let's get specific. Do you want your kids to listen 100% of times in every single situation the first time you ask? Really? Yeah. And watch out, it's a tricky question, because then I'm going to turn the table. Do you always listen and always do what somebody else asks you the first time they ask you? Think about your partner, your boss, your colleagues, your friends. Do you always do you drop everything you're doing, and whomever comes and requests something, you start running in their direction and you make it your priority, you drop everything else? That's what you do, really? Well, if you do, no judgment, but let's talk about it, because there will be some of you who do. And that's a problem we recognize, right? Yes, it is your strength. It is your quality. You're probably very empathetic, very nurturing. You're an amazing friend. You're the dream come true for any partner, friend, or a boss. because you put them first. And also, what price are you paying for that? Because this is usually the downside. And you let me know in the comments or shoot us an email. What price are you paying for that? Normally it would mean, if you're such a, I'm going to call it what it is, people pleaser who puts others' needs and requirements first before yours, having no boundaries, never able to say no, always going out of your way, putting yourself last. If ever you even express to somebody what you need, what your needs are, then chances are you're self-sacrificing victim people pleaser. And it's costing you, and it's turning on your relationship as well, right? I work with so many women who are so amazing, such a big heart, so much empathy, so out there for others, but then the price they were paying at work, they were overworked and burned out and not even recognized because they loved them. Like in the team, they loved them. All their colleagues loved them because they just dropped the ball. They could leave things unfinished or crappy because they knew they would, like, my client would get in and would finish and she would make it perfect. And she would spend, there's so many of them who would spend so many hours working overtime, unpaid. And then that time they were missing from their families, then they came home totally frustrated, resentful, mad about the work, but then they took it out on the kids because they were like, what the hell? I'm a doormat, like at least I can, right? I can make people listen because I can't do that at work, so at least I will do it at home, like enough. I need my boundaries, I need my time off because I'm done, I'm wiped out, I'm squeezed like a lemon, I don't have any more energy to give. So then who's the one who pays the price for you being the people pleaser, not having any boundaries? Then I worked with moms who do that, who do the same thing, even at home, doing everything for the kids. The kids are like, Mom, I need the shoelace. Mom, I cannot get dressed. Mom, I don't know how to do that. No, I don't know how to clean the table and wash the dishes. Teenagers, huh? So moms just go and do because, and what is your biggest fear if you wouldn't? Are you afraid? And there are different scenarios. Huh? There are moms, the overworked mom at work, she was afraid that people would find her that if she's not a good team player, then it means like nobody needs her. She was the fixer. There are so many moms who are the fixers, like just give me a problem, I'm going to fix it. And that's where their self-worth, their identity comes from, yeah? Or, oh, you're struggling, I'm going to help you, I'm the helper, and already jumping when people don't even ask for help, but they're already jumping because they're asking for attention and approval and recognition. Again, reminds you something from your childhood, maybe? And then there are those moms who are just the example I just mentioned with the kids, like doing it for the kids. There are moms who do it to avoid conflicts because they feel responsible for making their kids happy. And so whenever kids are sad or like, oh, I don't want to go to school today, okay, then don't. Because they feel it's their key responsibility to make the kids happy and okay. So then there are no boundaries. Like, yeah, school is freaking important. Let me help you work through your resistance towards school. And let's talk about what's happening in school that you don't want to go there. Let me support you there. No. You don't want to go to school. You're too sad. You're too frustrated. Okay, don't go to school today. It's okay. Right? So those are moms who are afraid of conflicts. And again, where is that coming from your childhood, right? Were there too much drama, too many conflicts when you were growing up? Or was your mom the one who was yelling at you and you needed to tiptoe around her, make her happy? Is that what you're doing with your kids right now? Tiptoeing around them, making them happy so that they don't get angry at you or they don't feel sad and then you feel, oh, I'm such a bad mom because I cannot make my child happy. Yeah. So that's why they do everything for the kids and they feel responsible for their emotions because they are avoiding any conflicts. Or there are moms who are indeed, they're the fixers. Or they are the OCD, like, let me clean the kitchen. I can't let my kids do the dishes because they don't do it perfectly. Yeah, so it needs to be me who's cleaning the kitchen. Otherwise, it's not, if I don't do it, it's not done well. So then let me step in, everybody move to the side, because even if I give you 10 times instruction list, exactly, even with screenshots and labels, how it needs to be done, nobody can do it as good as I can. Yeah, does that ring a bell? Maybe for some of you. Yeah, again, no judgment, but there are different situations, you see. And that might be going back to my first point. If you say, yes, I always listen, I always do everything everyone asks me the first time they ask me, it might be for any of these reasons. Is that healthy? Do you realize what price you're paying for that? Do you want your kids to grow up repeating this pattern? Because you know that, and I always joke, like, don't worry about your kids not listening to you. Worry about them watching you all the time. That's how they learn, right? They are like little sponges. They soak up and they see what you're doing, and they know, like, if it's the same what you tell them to do or if it's different, it's like it's computing in their head. They're not stupid. Don't underestimate your kids. You know that already, right? So that's for those of you who would tell me, yes, I always listen 100% of times. Whenever anybody asks me to do something, I drop everything and I go and I do it, no matter what I want. Okay, well, my condolences. Now, if you tell me that no, you do have some boundaries. You don't drop everything whenever anybody wants something, because you would get nothing done ever, right? So you do have some boundaries. Aha. So then my question is, so then why do you expect your kids to drop what they are doing and move just because you want to? Is that because you're the parent, so you deserve respect because you know better? How would you feel if you were a child in that situation? Maybe did you have authoritarian parents? Or on the other side, did you have to be the one who took charge because your parents emotionally collapsed? Maybe your mom divorced your alcoholic father and the mom was completely, or he cheated on her and your mom totally collapsed and she used you as her emotional blanket. That's, by the way, the exact words I heard from at least 3 of the women I worked with, that they said, like, I was the emotional blanket of my mom. She used me as her therapist. And so then I couldn't have any of my feelings because my mom was caring so much. I couldn't put things on like, I couldn't put my stuff on her because that would be even too much. Like, she would totally break down, right? So that's how there are lots of women who feel proud of being strong and I can do it all by myself and I can set boundaries and I expect my kids to be proud. I expect my kids to be strong. And yes, I'm strict, but it's for their own good because it served me well. Yeah. And those might be your strength, the independence, your commitment, your dedication, your strength, your emotional resilience. Absolutely. I'm not playing that down. We want the kids. But again, wouldn't you want them to have all of these qualities and upside without the downside? Because again, how much is it costing you to do that? Or what's the fear underneath that's driving you being so strong and independent? What is your worst nightmare? If you're not the strong one, if you're not the one in control, what are you afraid would happen? Yeah. There's a fear underneath. And this is the difference between driving your quality from like a positive pull. It just pulls you. And you're being who you are because that's genuinely, it's all aligned. Like that's your state of being. And there's a difference. You're doing that because you're afraid somebody's looking. There's somebody I need to get their approval of. Like, people cannot, you're afraid of judgments. Like, who would I be if I was not the strong one? Then I'm nobody. Or I have so many smart moms. Some of them are scientists. Even I have one in mind. Hi, if you're watching. Like, if I'm not the best, if I don't succeed in this work challenge on the first time, even though others do it only on second, third time, if I don't get it the first time, it means I'm normal just like the rest of them. I'm not special. Do you want your kids to grow up feeling never enough? Always striving for the next one and next one, being such like hard on themselves perfectionists? Because again, those are patterns that are coming from your own childhood. And if you are not being careful, we will give them to our kids, right? And if I go back and talk about, okay, they should listen to me the first time I ask because I'm the parent I respect, like I deserve, I'm the authority, therefore I deserve the respect, they should listen. So again, think about the consequences. You want them to listen to authorities without questioning. What impact is that going to have on their life? So if their boss tells them to do something, which they internally feel like, but they will be raised to always say yes and never question, what dangers and risks are there? So you see, I'm not saying like our kids just like da-di-da-di-da, let me do anything. Mama, I don't feel like going to school today. Or yeah, you'll be 20 minutes late because I just wanted to play and I wanted to draw on all the walls of the... I'm not saying you should let your kids do that and spend the night playing video games and never go to sleep. Or I'm not saying you should do that. But there needs to be a balance, right? This is then, it becomes conversation about boundaries and consequences, right? But you do not want your kids to listen to you blindly in any situation, right? Then it becomes, indeed, this is the gray zone, right? And I know we would love to have everything so simple, black or white. They listen or they don't listen. If they don't listen, I can yell because that's not fair and things need to move fast. Things are not always black and white. You know it yourself. Like, I know it for myself. Sometimes my husband talks to me and he wants me to do something. It's like, he wants to know, like, do we have potatoes? Or where's this thing in the kitchen cupboard? I forgot. Do we have that? And I'm like, dude, like I'm coaching via email. It's very important coaching conversation I'm having with somebody. Like, I'm not going to drop everything and do it right now. And for him, I understand, I have empathy for him. Maybe for him, like the potatoes or the thing he's looking for is important because he might be hungry and he's trying to cook and I love it. I don't want to kill him for disturbing me. But at the same time, like from my perspective, it's important that I help this client who's sending me an SOS email, who's struggling. Like, I feel like I need to recover her and I need to focus and I need to pay attention, not to say some silly stuff, right? And not to trigger her even more over email. So then it becomes like, okay, like you might have different needs. So think about the last situation. If it's about morning rush to school. So if your kids are saying no, or if they're not listening until you yell, well, what is it? Are they engaged in some activity that's important for them? That's very like difficult for you to understand that it's a priority, because in your mind, the priority is to get to school, get to work and do it on time. Otherwise you lose your job. Or if you're too late to school every single day, they would send social services on you and like you would have problems with that. That's important for you. But if we just like take a breath. Well, what's going on for your kids? What is important for them? Why are they not listening? Right? Are they engaged in some activity that's like right now that matters to them? And how can we like gently help them from that rather than full on Momzilla mode, right? Because what is that teaching them, right? About their nervous system regulation, feeling safe, unconditionally loving mom. Like in that moment, everything out of the window, right? The moment you lose it. And after 10 minutes of repeating yourself and over-explaining to a 3-year-old why they cannot take like a swimsuit to school when it's freezing out there, then it becomes a different conversation, right? Then it's not about like over explaining. I'm not saying you should be like, just be nice and say things 1,000 times nicely. That's not the solution either. But getting curious, the moment you stop feeling like it's a personal offense that they are not listening, the moment you stop feeling that's a personal attack, like they want to sabotage your life, they just want to, it's their fault because they're so evil, they're doing it on purpose, right? The moment you get over that and you realize, actually, those are my fears, that's my stress, that's my OCD, that's my own childhood baggage, like projecting on my kids. The moment that's gone, you can actually get curious, like, I just wonder, what's happening for them? Okay. I had a conversation with a mom who has teenagers. It's like, yeah, my kids, they come from school and they spend time on screens and I try to set some boundaries, consequences, put time limits, but they still don't get it. So I'm like, okay, my first question. I get that. Yeah, totally frustrating. So many families are struggling with that. I wonder what's happening for the kids. What is the screen time, whatever they are doing online, whatever is that giving them? Which of their needs are not being met otherwise? And like, what are they actually getting from it? Because it's not the screen itself, it's not the video game itself. What is it giving them that they cannot fulfill that need otherwise? And then she said, yeah, they're getting the feeling of belonging because they play online with their friends. Everybody is at home, but they play together. They probably feel like they need an escape because it's a like divorced family. Kids are spending few days with mom, few days with dad. So they're like a ping pong ball all the time. So there's lots of nervous system dysregulation, lots of uncertainty, lots of different home, different rules, different parent, different roles. So they are in chaos. And so this is for them basically like a safe space, how to regulate. Yeah. And this is not me approving video games for kids of divorced parents, right? But in order to help your kids, not only to listen more, because the listening is just top of the iceberg, right? What is it that you want underneath for them? You want them to be respectful, well emotionally regulated adults who can handle some stress and pressure without burning out or without going total monster type on anybody, right? If you want that for your kids, then we need to really start looking deeper underneath. So I wonder, why is this important for my kids? Why is it that it's so difficult for them to get out of home in time in the morning if I already wake them up half an hour earlier so that they have enough time to play? And I already prepare all of the things and lunches the night before so that I can be present for them and not just run around like a stressed out, like chicken without the head, which stresses then the kids. And either they will stress and be anxious or they will be avoidant types and they will completely check out and become numb. So I'm doing already all of these things and the kids are still not listening. It's never enough time for them to get out of the house. So let's get curious. What is underneath that? Is there still anything you're doing to contribute? I'm not pointing fingers at you, but just like curious. Is there still something I can do? Is there something I don't know about? Is it the school? Is it that they are not feeling like there's something in them that doesn't feel okay? Maybe did I already give them some of my not good enough shit or people pleasing stuff? Like what is going on? Yeah. And only from that place we can have conversation about healthy boundaries and natural consequences. Yeah. Because I have so many moms and there are so many questions about that. And again, especially for moms who grew up being punished or bribed. Yeah. Or emotionally rejected. Like I was emotionally rejected. If I was not always smiling, always saying yes, always in a good mood, always the little helper of mom, she would just actually stop talking to me, like cold treatment, totally silent treatment. And that was actually worse than if she would be yelling at me. She just refused to acknowledge my presence for hours, for days. That actually made it hurt me much more than if she would just yell, then she would calm down, maybe, not apologize, but at least she would calm down and we could continue. Yeah. So what is it for your kids? Yeah. And how do we learn and then test and experience what are those healthy boundaries and natural consequences? Yeah. Because then that's the next step you might want to focus on. Yeah. Kids absolutely need to understand consequences. They need to understand that if you're late every morning, like what would happen then? Yeah. But all of this work is done as a prevention in advance. You can't be over-explaining when you're already running late because then your energy is so high, you're so stressed out, there's so much tension. Your kids are naturally wired to sync their nervous system with yours. And if you're already in this tense energy because you need to get out and you're already late, like that's going to impact your kids. That's not going to give you the best result, right? So all of these conversations about boundaries and consequences, it needs to happen in advance. That's the 99% of times, other than the 1% already freak out and emergency. Yeah. That's why when parents come and ask me, well, how do I get my kids out of the house on time? Like when we are already running late, he has only one shoe. She doesn't know where her gym clothes is. And I forgot where I put my phone and my husband didn't put the keys where they belong. And so we are definitely like, what do I do then? Then I was like, my dear, I'm sorry. Now it's already too late. Okay, now we can do some like, we can do some damage control. When it's already everything is falling down the cliff and it's a free fall. It's like, you're going to hit the ground because you're already falling. But where I'm interested in and where I'm helping all of our clients is, well, what are we doing those 99% of times when you're not in emergency mode? Because that is the window that we need to work on and practice. Yeah. And that's why I'm not a parenting coach. Because it's not about that situation. It's about what we do or don't do to prevent it from happening and to help our kids regulate their nervous system, become resilient, and have these skills we want them to have, right? So that they don't repeat our own childhood baggage. Yes, that's what this is about. Yeah. So take a breath. Think about everything that I just shared. Kids listening, boundaries. We can't expect them to have more emotional awareness than what we do, right? Are you being the emotional leader? Are you being the calm, focused? Like, are you being an example, a role model for your kids? Not just when it's a good times, when you feel like getting hugs. Absolutely, you're the best mom in the world. But how do you react when they make a mistake? How do you react when things are not going the way you want them? How do you react when you're already stressed or hungry? How do you react when your hormones are crazy because maybe you're perimenopausal and it's like there are certain days you will just rip somebody's head off if they just look at you the wrong way, right? All of these are extras that makes it extra more difficult for you to stay calm. But that's exactly where the leadership comes in. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could do that even on these days? Wouldn't that be amazing if you could have that grounded energy, out with that fear of judgment, out with that people pleasing, out with that OCD perfectionism and having to prove anything to anybody? Clean leadership energy. Keep all your strengths, keep all your nurturing, empathy, your ambition, your drive to lead, keep all of that without any of the messy remnants and generational patterns from your own parents and your own growing up. Isn't that what we want to give our kids? Make them feel loved, yes. Unconditionally, yes. And helping them understand what are the consequences of their actions. Not because you're the police mom who will beat it over their head, the consequences, but because you're a team and you're out there helping them understand and see what's naturally going to happen as a result of them making their decisions. Yeah. And again, this will be age dependent. Just like a last side comment, that's why I don't like parenting scripts, because they can be so generic and maybe it works for one child, but it doesn't work for the other one. Maybe it works one day in one situation, but not the next day in another situation. Isn't it so much better to understand the logics and dynamics of how relationships work so that you know the right thing to say for any child in any situation? Because you do. That's what I keep telling my parents, my clients. You are the best expert on your child because you know their history. You know if your child is being, you know why. You know it's because they are hungry. You know if it's because they're afraid of the dentist next week, so they are more nervous. They are maybe more withdrawn. You know if it's because you're divorced and next week they are going to their dad, or they just came back from their dad and they're all over the place. Like, you know what's happening with them. Yeah. And you know you cannot apply the same script for every single child, right? If you have a 4-year-old who's running late for school and who wants to wear the swimsuit in the winter, like, then the question is not about over explaining 10 times about the weather and let's just like, you would be cold and then you would be sick and da-di-da-di-da. No. Then the question is like, okay, so do you want to take your thick blue jacket or do you want to take the thinner green jacket with a thick sweater? Like, you have two options. You want this or that? And you let them choose one of them. And they are happy because they feel like they had a choice. You're happy because they are well dressed up and you can forget the whole conversation, right? How are you setting up the boundaries and consequences, right? How are you helping them feel in control? This is what most of the kids want. They want to feel that you listen to them, that you respect them, because respect and listening is earned. How often do your kids come to you and ask you for something and you tell them, just give me 5 minutes, just give me 10 minutes? Like, how often do you let them wait or tell them, no, I don't want to do that? Right? And again, I'm not saying you should always do everything for everybody. We've been there. We covered that, why that is not okay. But respect and listening comes both ways. Yeah. So this is where we are going to finish. If you want to drive it further and deeper and have it structured, I would really invite you to one of my live Mommy Tantrum masterclasses, because that's where I go through the exact steps and how do you need to repattern. What do we do with ourselves if you are that people pleaser or perfectionist, hyperachiever like I used to be, right? Or avoider, that you shut down if there are any difficult emotions and you don't want to make other people unhappy with you because you're afraid of not being loved and rejected, then you avoid any conflicts. How do we repattern that? That's what I do. That's what I'm a specialist at. So then log in for that Mommy Tantrum Masterclass so that we can talk about it specifically how, yeah? Not in years in therapy. You don't need to get re-traumatized by digging up all the dirt on your parents and what all the wrong things they did when you were little. None of that nonsense. No. Easy, fast results. Let's talk about it, how that can happen. Good. I hope this was helpful. Let me know your specific situations. I try to cover all different scenarios from top of my head, from all kinds of moms with kids and family setup and all kinds of challenges. But if your situation is different and if you are still wondering like, yeah, but how do I do it then, girl? Then send me a comment or send us an email. I'll be happy to. Maybe if it's a unique branch that I didn't cover, I'm going to do another podcast episode on that for you. Yep. Hope this was helpful. Take very good care, Supermom. I see you. And I know that if you're here and especially if you stay till the end, it shows me how much you care. Yeah. I know that you're not doing all of that yelling or drama or avoiding people pleasing. You're not doing that on purpose. You're not doing that because you're a bad person. You're trying very hard. And your kids are lucky to have you. You're going to figure it out. And I'm happy if this gave you at least some insight. I was happy to be part of that. Take very good care. See you next time.